Megalopolis, a very controversial film that's been through a lot of stuff through its production. Rather, it's the director being a little bit handsy, trying to get the women in the mood. Side note, if you're 85-year-old saggy man, the only women you're getting in the mood is a woman that's a gold digger. If someone's being hired at your set, they probably are a professional. They want to work. So they're not going to actually be involved in saggy 85-year-old man sexual activities. Another sexual abuser and Dustin Hoffman. I thought he has some don't he have some allegations? Shia LaBeouf, I would say those are allegations, but those are just proving that he's just a domestic abuser. Just not a good group of people to get together. But hey, when your own money is being put up for this film, I guess you can do whatever you want with it. $120 million he put up of his own money to make this movie. This movie has been in the works for 40 years. Was it worth it? No, it was not worth it. This movie is really, really bad. It seems like it's trying to be good. I will say that because it's really trying to be philosophical and poetic to the audience that's watching it. But when you're watching it, you're like, this is somewhat pretentious and it's nauseating. Please stop talking so boring and stilted and seeming like you're saying something when you're truly not. There's a lot of complexity in simplicity. People go out of their way to make the most simplest thing complex and the most complex things simple. This movie is the opposite of that. It's trying to make complex more complex. I usually would like to summarize this movie to you guys, but the thing is that would be kind of hard because I didn't really know what the fuck was going on here. I mean, I get overall the character motivations, Caesar is the design authority played by Adam Driver. He wants to create this new world. He controls time and he's building and he's destroying these buildings around him to make his ultimate utopic city, Megalopolis, using this new substance of metal called megalotone or something like that, and he's going to use that to make Megalopolis. Like, I understand that's it, and Giancarlo Esposito don't want him to make it. Shia LaBeouf is his cousin, and he's always in drag and being weird with his cousins and sisters. He don't like him for some reason because I guess everyone saw him as the genius. They don't really go into the reason why he don't really like him. He just don't. Because he's his cousin and he wants to be loved and cared for and be the one in the family that everyone sees as cool and awesome. But no one's going to see a guy who all he does is doesn't have eyebrows and touching up his sister as cool. Don't care how much money you have. No one's seeing that as cool. That's just not cool, man. Factoid of the day. Incest, not cool. I don't care what the porn statistics say. Everybody in this movie seems to be having a competition on who can be the worst actor in it. And everybody in here are not bad actors. I've liked Adam Driver in a lot of things. He's pretty good. I've liked Shia LaBeouf in a lot of things. He's pretty good. Even though he's done terrible things to FKA Twigs, but his talent is undeniable. Guys really throws himself into these acting projects. And he throws himself into this, except for he doesn't have much to work with. So he ends up looking worse. I didn't think you can make Giancarlo Esposito, I hope I'm saying his name right. I didn't know you can make him look like a bad actor. Shout out Francis Ford Coppola. He did the impossible. You don't know who's winning this bad acting competition going on here, but I do think I know who is winning it. She was in the Fast and Furious movies. She was also in, what do you call it, Game of Thrones. Natalie Emanuel. That's her name. She's a biracial chick in here. She's pretty as hell. She's fine. And like I said, I know she can act. I've seen her in other things act well, so I know it's possible. I know there's a possibility for a great performance. I don't know what Francis did to her. I can't tell you. He's like he comatose her and told her to go out there and act. It's her every scene with her is atrocious. I'm sorry. She's giving all of the worst dialogue. Every thing she says seems ADR'd. She shows practically no emotions. A lot of times, it just seems like she's improvising most of what's the fuck's happening around her. She definitely won this bad actor off. The one person in this movie who didn't win, for sure, is Lawrence Fishburne. But that's because Lawrence Fishburne's character isn't really a character. He's sort of just the narrator. He's in the movie as well. But even when he's in the movie, he's narrating the movie. In the movie, his thoughts is the narration for the movie. So because he's not really he's not really acting with anybody in this movie. He's sort of just there in the background and as the butler to Adam Driver's character. Because he is these two things, he comes off looking the best here. Aubrey Plaza is also somewhat okay in this movie. I like what she's bringing. She's a dominatrix somewhat in this one. She kind of could get forgettable at times because even though she's in it a couple of times, she's not in it a lot. She kind of just leaves the movie for big chunks and then will return out of nowhere. Her name is Wow Platinum. I don't know why he went with that name, but I guess he was just being quirky today. He's just a Francis Ford Coppola. She's giving an okay performance. I like what she's doing here. You know, she's funny at times. She's dramatic at times. And you really get to understand who she is as a person. And by that I mean they have her writhing and being sexual at times. She's naked a lot sometimes through this movie. So you get to see a lot of things of Aubrey Plaza. Again, she's not the greatest thing in here. She's giving her all. She's up there with Adam Driver. Sometimes it's other times it's just forgettable. It's when people have to act against one another is when the bad acting happens. Adam Driver's giving it his all here. But he's giving it his all. He's doing the best he can. But sometimes your best can't get you out of a terrible situation. Sometimes you're just stuck there. And to a certain extent, you have to respect it while you're watching this movie. I respect it. He's really throwing himself into this. He's really giving you emotions. He's really throwing everything into it. But again, he's not giving anything really to say or do. So the things that he's throwing himself into is a volcano, and he's slowly burning to death. Even though he thinks it's propelling him out of the volcano. I mean, like, it's close to erupting, but when it erupts, everything about you is just going to be turned into ash and dust. So the directing here is probably the best thing that it has going for it, but even on that front, the movie seems cheap but yet expensive at the same time. Like the way this movie starts when he's getting up, like you can see it in the trailer. I'm pretty sure it's in the poster. He's like standing on the side of like a skyscraper. He's like standing on the side of a skyscraper. That's the start of the movie, but it looks like an early 2000s music video. Like I felt like that's how, because early 2000s movies and music videos looked somewhat like it has a good budget but also cheap at the same time. It does look great at times because Francis Ford Coppola knows how to make a good looking film, so it does look good at times, and like it's not terrible all the way through. And like I said, you do like a lot of the colors in it. You like a lot of the way things look in it, but the CGI here also looks pretty cheap, which is, again, why sometimes it makes it look cheap, but then it have these shots that makes it look expensive, like the shots of The CGI statues looks cool. In the scene where the you see it in the trailer, the meteorites falling out of the sky, which isn't meteorites. It's a Russian satellite. But that scene where you see people's shadow on the buildings covering looks cool. That scene still looks cool in the movie. There's a lot of tricks with the camera that he's bringing to this, but he's still not putting enough at some points to not make it look and feel cheap. It still at a lot of times feels extremely outdated the way it's filmed and the way it's put together. Now those may be homages to other films and styles of filmmaking, but I've seen movies that have this other style of filmmaking and still look good. It's just an explosion of creativity going everywhere, okay? It's splattered everywhere. You know, it's going to make some good spots that looks like some great paintings, and then it's just going to look like terrible messes that you're dreading to clean up. Overall, this movie is just... I found myself being tortured by it because it is 2 hours long, and once you've paid your ticket and you sat for like an hour and 30 something minutes, you're like, well, I might as well see this all the way through. But I didn't like what I saw for the most part. I felt it to be extremely painful, dull, and incomprehensible, to the point, at one point, I was just looking at it, actually in the theater, looking at it like this. What's going on here? I was really confused by what's going on here, and I guess it elicits some sort of emotion in me, so I won't give it a 0 or anything like that. So I guess I'll mock it up to a 3 out of 10. I think that's perfectly for the ambition, the creativity, and the inspiration that it brings you just as an artist. The fact that this guy really put his passion project out there, especially at the ripe old age of like 80 something, he's still deciding to go for his passions, and he's not being trampled by old age. He's still going for it. A lot of the visuals here still looks cool, and I think that's about it. I think that's the only positives that I truly have here. Oh, and it has a pretty good message about being kind to humans. So, good messages about, being good and kind towards your fellow man will always go great over here. But everything else, dog. Thank you for watching. If you liked this review, like I said, leave a like. If you liked everything that I had to say, how I look, all the things that we have going on here, like and subscribe. And if you didn't like what I have to say, you're like, Kyle, this was actually one of the greatest movies ever. Well, you know what? Subscribe. Because maybe we didn't link up here. Maybe we wasn't twinning in this review. But the next one, possibly, we could twin up. We can be locked in. So subscribe and keep up with all my reviews. So this way you know when we're locked in or not. And if you're not locked in with me, you might as well comment too. Say, Kyle, I'm not locked in. Let me know you're not locked in. Tell me in the comments. And if you are locked in with me, subscribe and comment as well. Say, Kyle, I'm locked in, bro. Let's get married. Thank you for watching. As I always say, good and bye.